Have you ever walked into your classroom full of energy, thinking, I've got this, and 5 minutes later, you're already firefighting? One child is crawling under the table, another is halfway through telling you about their cat. Here is the truth that no one tells new teachers. It's not the games that fail. It's the flow, the structure, the way the lesson is planned. In this video, I'll show you why most young learners' lessons collapse and the exact steps to plan the lessons the way that it engage, guide, and energize children from start to finish. Most teachers think lesson plans are just paperwork, something you write for a boss, not for real teaching. By the end, you will know how to create actual lesson plan on paper. The way that students stay focused, the activities actually work, and you finish every lesson with success. Let's dive in. Let's start with a fact. When a lesson fails with adults, they get bored. When it fails with young learners, the classroom collapses. Young learners don't fail quietly. They wiggle, talk, touch things, or mentally collapse or disappear. That's why lesson planning for children is not about covering content. It's about managing energy, attention, and behavior, but through structure. Many new teachers plan amazing activities and still lose their class. Not because the activity is bad, but because the lesson flow is wrong. You can have the best game in the world and still lose your student in 3 minutes. I'll explain why. I once had two classes with the same vocabulary activities. In one, I ran 5 fun activities back to back. Chaos. In the other, I paced it. Warm up, game, story, song, cool down. The students were calm, focused, and smiling. That's when I realized planning is about rhythm, not just activities, not just choosing the best game. They need to be engaged. Engagement is not about noise or excitement. Engagement is when children know what's happening, what's coming next, and what's expected of them. So you need to answer these 3 questions. Planning skill is in change, not a personality trait.
Excuse me. There is something I want to know. So, should my lessons always be fun and engaging?
Well, yes, but fun with control. Fun without structure becomes chaos. And structure without fun becomes boredom, pale. Planning balances both and creates flow. Now, once you accept that planning is about flow, the next question is flow toward what? That's where lesson aims come in. One of the biggest planning mistakes with young learners is trying to teach too much. Children don't benefit from ambitious plans. A strong young learner lesson usually has one main language goal, not 3, not 5. If you can't say what children will do differently by the end of the class, by the end of the lesson, no wins. For example, instead of planning like this, for example, teach animals, present simple, and the song, plan like this. By the end of the class, students can say, it's a cat, it's a dog. That's it. Everything else, the song, the game, the worksheet in the teacher's guide serves that one goal.
Excuse me, sir. You mentioned teacher's guide. Do I need a separate lesson plan if I have the teacher's guide?
Well, the short answer is yes. The teacher's guide is a foundation, a roadmap designed for an average class. It gives activities, timing, and script. It can never know the exact ages, levels, or personalities in front of you. Your lesson plan personalizes it. It helps you adapt that foundation for your group. A lesson plan helps you decide which activities to highlight, what to skip, how to sequence them, and where to add movement or games. Young learners feel safe when lessons flow a familiar rhythm. They don't need surprises, they need reassurances. That's why almost every effective young learner lesson anywhere in the world follows the same basic 5-stage flow. In the first stage, start with something that gets the student engaged, activate their prior knowledge, something that wakes up their brains and bodies. We call it warm-up. In the second stage, teach them something new via story, song, or prop. We call it input. In the third stage, let them try the input safely, in a controlled way. How? Using choral work, where they feel safe to make noise and make mistakes. Call this stage practice. In the fourth stage, we give them a chance to use the input freely. Task-based work, where they use the language to communicate. And finally, the last or the fifth stage, you can finish with a calm ending. Maybe a quiet song or a hug goodbye. Stages 1 and 5 are the emotional bookends. Skipping the warm-up means you start with a noisy, distracted class. But skipping the cool down means they leave the class excited. It makes the next class or their journey home difficult. Professional young learner teachers don't rush the start, and they don't rush the end either.
Sir, do I have to follow this shape every lesson? Can I change something in it?
No, but beginners should. Once it becomes instinctive, you can bend it intelligently. Now, even with a good lesson plans, timing can still destroy everything. That's where flexible planning saves you. Young learner timing is predictable, but it's never exact. An activity that took 3 minutes yesterday might take 8 today because they're tired or excited or they just loved it. You need elastic timing. Rigid plans break. Here is a very valuable piece of advice. Professional young learner teachers plan in 3 layers. The first layer is must do. The activities that achieves your one main language aim. It's the core. Layer 2 is nice to have. Extra activities, if time allows, like games or songs or printable stuff. And the third layer is emergency. Use it when an activity finishes earlier than expected. A quick filler or calm down task. For example, Simon Says, or a quick touch blue game. These kinds of activities usually last about 30 to 90 seconds. One day, a game I planned to last 4 minutes ran for 8 minutes because the children loved it. Instead of panicking, I skipped the extra worksheet I had planned, I had prepared. The lesson still hit the main aim, and everyone left happy. If you're running out of time, cut a nice to have. Rushing confuses children.
What if I don't finish my plan? It happens very often. What should we do?
Well, if students achieve the main aim, the lesson was successful. Finishing everything is not the goal. Understand? Even the best timing fails if transitions are messy. So let's talk about the invisible part of planning. Most young learners' chaos doesn't happen during the activities in the class. It happens between them. Children don't magically switch tasks. They need guidance. If transitions aren't planned, teachers end up shouting or over-explaining. Here is what that looks like in real classroom. For young learners, all instructions must follow the show, say, check rule. Show means demonstrate the task. Demonstrate it physically or with a prop. Don't explain. Say means use simple language. One command per sentence. Stand up. Pause. Come here. With gesture. Sit down. Look at me. Look. 4 commands. 1 in gesture, 3 in words, all 1 sentence each. Check means ask a concept checking question that requires action, not just yes. Don't say, did you get it? So instead, say, are we going to sit or stand? Show me. Interesting, isn't it? If students aren't listening, it is often not discipline. It's instruction overload. If you are talking for more than 20 seconds, you're probably losing them. Great planning includes a section for anticipated problems and solutions. With young learners, common problems are predictable. Things like tasks are too long, materials too complex, instructions misunderstood, energy too high or too low. Before the lesson, review these in your mind. See what might baffle them, what might confuse them, what might finish too fast, what might overestimate them. They are not difficult to be predicted. Of course, if I want to group them, I would say there are two common pitfalls that kill young learner lessons. Sometimes you introduce too much language, or the instructions were too long for the age. It is called cognitive overload. The solution? Cut the complexity. Use only one new item at a time. Or sometimes you planned a cutting drawing task for 5-year-olds. That's too difficult. It's called fine motor skill misalignment. What's the solution? Simplify the task or pre-cut the materials. Materials should serve the aim, not steal attention from them. Okay, we have covered the mindset, the aim, the shape, and the tactics. But how does this all look on paper? Let me show you how a professional lesson plan comes together using one template. A good young learner lesson plan fits on one page. At the top, you write at least 3 things: age, level, time. This plan is for a 45-minute lesson teaching 7-year-olds 5 new classroom objects. Okay, we start with section A, the objective. Notice it is simple. Students will be able to name 5 classroom objects and use the sentences, I have a and blah, blah, blah. That's our one main goal. Everything we plan serves this. In section B, look at the language function. We listed the context. What's in your school bag? This anchors the grammar and vocabulary in a meaningful real-world context for children. The flow. The lesson stage table is the most important part. Our flow follows the reliable 5-step shape. We spend 8 minutes on input, showing real objects like real pencil, but we spend 15 minutes on the freer production, the you-do stage. Why? Because that's where they use the language independently in the pass the item circle game. That is our biggest block of time because that's the point of the lesson. The survival checklist, DEF. Before class, I check D, materials. I must have a real pencil and a real rubber for the input stage. In E, management, I plan exactly when they move from their desk to the floor for the circle game, ensuring a smooth transition. And most importantly, F, anticipated problems. I know 7-year-olds get loud in games, so my plan B is written down. If noise is too high, deploy the 3-clap freeze signal. And if that fails, we return to the desks immediately for 30 seconds of quiet time. This is what professional planning looks like. It is a guide to success, not just a document for your boss. The time necessary to spend on writing this depends on your seniority. New teachers may need 20 to 30 minutes to write it. Developing teachers around 10 to 15 minutes. And experienced teachers as little as 5 minutes because the structure is already internalized. Now, How do we make sure your next lesson is even better? We turn to reflection part of your lesson plan. Every young learner's lesson teaches two groups, the children and the teacher. Reflection here counts. Reflection is not paperwork. It's future planning. Every single professional developmental framework from CELTA to Trinity requires it because it is the engine of growth. Without reflection, teachers repeat mistakes. Ask yourself three fast questions. Did they achieve the main aim? Where did the attention drop? What would I change next session, next time? Write one sentence for each. That's enough. Remember losing students in 3 minutes? Reflection is your secret to making that never happen again. Planning lessons for young learners is a skill, not a talent. If you focus on flow, clear aim, flexible timing, anticipating problems, and reflecting afterwards, you can turn chaos into calm. Remember how we talk about losing students in 3 minutes? Now you know how planning, reflection, and smart timing make that almost impossible. Try applying just one of these strategies you learned today in your next lesson. Notice how it changes your students' engagement. And then keep building from there. And if you've got a tip that works for you, share it in the comments. Your experience might help another teacher.